All right, welcome. Come on in the room, y'all. Come on in the room. Want to welcome you to the Extra Crispy, Extra Wet podcast hosted by us, the Young Aunties. Y'all could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that. All right, we got a good show lined up for you guys. We're down here in the South Atlanta area to be exact, and down here we say it's rude to come in the room and not speak and introduce yourself. So y'all know we're gonna do that first. Kay, go ahead and kick us off.
What's going on, everybody? It's Auntie Kirby, aka Where's Kirby in, aka the West Side Wood Nymph, and I'm checking in from the SWATs as usual.
That's right. And if you don't have one, you need to get one because everybody need a shooter on your squad.
That would be I. Hey, y'all. Auntie Kaylee, aka Killer Kaylee with no kills, aka the original Kaylee established in 1985. Hashtag stop gentrifying my name.
Her name.
Come on,
Stop.
Stop
With
it.
it.
And I am your favorite homegirl, Nick, from the old school Locked On You, where we put it on you. And we're glad to have y'all on this thing with us one more time. All right, first things first, we're going to give y'all that good old wing order of the day. Auntie Kaylee, what's cooking, Ma?
Well, since I am a little bit under the weather, unfortunately, I think I'm gonna go with just some chicken noodle soup. Yeah, chicken noodle soup with some mint tea. That is what my body needs right now.
Shout out to everybody who chicken noodle soup with a soda on the side was in your head right there.
Yes.
I felt it. I felt it. I did. Auntie Kirby, I know it was in your head.
Oh, you saw me.
And everything. Oh, baby, now. Yeah.
Which is such an odd combination. Who drinks soda with soup?
That's
I
what,
never have done that.
yeah, neither.
No.
The soup
Now
it was
you know what your grandma gonna tell you to get though.
ginger ale.
The jail. But I don't think I ever drank it with a soup, honestly.
No.
You know,
The ginger ale and the crackers was typically either before or after the soup.
settle your stomach, get you feeling better, and then when you're feeling a little bit better, you eat your soup. Auntie Kirby, what you got on your plate, ma?
The weather has changed drastically. The weather outside is frightful.
Frightfully hot. But it's cooling off a little bit.
Over here by the airport, it feels like a little piece of fall is falling into place over here. So I'm gonna do a 10-piece pumpkin spice. I'm just playing. No, but I do want something that's giving me fall vibes. So something I haven't had in a long time, and y'all have heard Auntie Nick order these before. I want some of them smoked. What is it? The smoked wings,
sweet brown sugar
joints. I want mine. So I want them smoked and fried. I just want a 10-piece though, because the wings at Smoky Bones are actually a little bit larger than your standard wings.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna get extra chunky blue cheese from JR Crickets because that's how I get down. I'm only gonna have celery, no carrots today because I got enough sugar in the wings, and I'm gonna have a big gallon of ice water. And I know you're not supposed to drink ice water because hashtag your heart, but I want something cold. I want to feel it going down my esophagus today. I want to feel it today. That's where I'm at. I want to feel it. I want to feel the soul. I want to feel the sweet.
Feel it in her throat.
In my throat. CHOKE.
You just made that sound so good. I'm gonna have to piggyback off of that one and get the exact same thing. I will tell you, Smoky Bones got some good chunky blue cheese.
Theirs is.
It's very similar to the JR Cricket. Similar.
It's right there. It's right.
Yeah, it is. But when in doubt, JR Cricket's just you go with what you know.
Yeah.
And it hits every time.
And we don't have a Smoky Bones on the west side, so I'll pick my blue cheese up while I'm over here.
There you go.
Carry myself to the east.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, like I said, I'm eating the same thing. I want extra sauce. I want extra sweet brown sugar sauce. You're right. That would hit right about now.
Not even gonna lie to you. I might after we finish recording. I'm in a mood.
The aunties is eating good. We got that good soup, and we got them good sweet brown sugar wings. Sounds good to me. All right. Moving right along, we got Auntie of the Day. Auntie Kirby, help us out. I know you got a good one. Who we looking at?
Yes, in line with it, things falling into place and want to relax and keep it cute. We're going to honor Nsiki Biela today. She's a winemaker and owner of the Aslina Wine Company. She's actually setting out to be South Africa's first Black woman winemaker. And that was never necessarily a goal of hers, but that is what she's accomplished. She also didn't plan on being a winemaker. She actually says here that she got a scholarship to study winemaking. For those that is real bougie, she has become somewhat of a sommelier. It wasn't something that she was necessarily interested in, but what did catch the former domestic workers' interest was the opportunity that the scholarship presented for her. So this is a woman about her education. For me, it was a matter of changing her life. Soon she was working in vineyards and a wine cellar at Delheim Wines under the mentorship of famed winemaker Philip Constandius. And even though there were some language barriers between the two, it did not hinder them exchanging information and beginning to develop a passion for her work and for the work that he had done. And her enthusiasm and her newfound craft grew. Unfortunately, as we all know, people are very narrow-minded about Black women. Oftentimes her talent was questioned as a winemaker, but she continued to push on. Sometimes patrons of the winery that she worked at would be in shock when they discovered that the wines that they were enjoying were actually made by a Black woman. And so once inquiring about an open position at a winery, she was told that they were only looking for men. So she continued to face hurdles, continued to press on. Quote, people definitely doubted me, she said. But no matter how hurtful those moments were, Biela never let them deter her from owning a wine company. Quote, it was just a matter of me saying to myself, it's okay, this is what I want to do, and I'm going to do it. And it was with that determination that Biela started Aslina, her wine company, named after her beloved grandmother who raised her. Quote, when you start something, don't open windows. Look at that only and give it everything you've got and make it a success. Basically saying, stick with your main plan. And with 4 different beloved wines under the label, she is doing just that. So we want to honor Ms. Nsiki Biela, winemaker and owner of Aslina Wine Company, our auntie of the day.
All right. We got to see if we get our hands on some of that.
Yeah, South African liquor in general has become popular in the last couple of years. South African whiskey and bourbon and a couple other like standard liquors, but also South African wine has been on the rise in the first place. And based off of, the way that region is set up, I imagine that the grapes that grow there are amazing for winemaking.
Right.
So yeah, looking forward to hopefully seeing if we can find some.
Excuse me, more and more Black women getting into the wine and liquor business.
Mm-hmm.
Loving to see it. All right. We're going to look out for you, Auntie, and see if we can get some of that and let you guys know how it is and what our faves are. All right. Moving right along, we're going to get into the menu. Y'all know what it is. Atlanta is up first. Got a couple of quick shout outs. Kirby, believe you have one. Kaylee has one, and then Kaylee will take us into our first menu item. So let's get right on into it.
Yeah, we just wanted to give a quick shout out to Dr. Dominique Merriweather, who is the youngest principal at an APS school. He is actually a graduate of Morehouse, and he will be leading Sutton Middle School, which is a part of, again, Atlanta Public Schools, and used to be one of my debate team rivals when I was at Young Middle School. But shout out to y'all. It was actually a feeder school to North Atlanta High School, which, if I'm not mistaken, it might still be. But he's only 30 years old. Like I said, he's a graduate of Morehouse, and he's just doing amazing things at Sutton. Is going to be leading the school there. Quote, he's not just a traditional principal sitting back here in the office all day, but he's literally in classes, in the cafeteria, in PE with students truly getting their experience, because at the end of the day, that's why we're here. And so we appreciate you. He actually reminds me of my middle school principal, Mr. Algie Davis, who was very hands-on in a similar way, but he was way older than 30. But was always in our classrooms, always engaging with us, knew our parents, knew us, knew some of our grades, and encouraged us, was very firm, but also very nurturing. So again, shout out to Dr. Dominique Merriweather, the youngest principal at an APS school.
Yes, give it up. All right. And in that same vein, out in Cobb County, kids are getting active with the climate. So the SAE school painted their basketball court and playground with reflective coating designed to help reduce surface temperatures. The students at that school were engaged in the process in each step. They helped pick out the colors as well as the designs. They also experimented and found that the black asphalt was actually 12 degrees hotter than the coated section that they had painted with this reflective paint. Georgia's three hottest years on record have all occurred since 2016. So we aren't tripping when we say it feels like this ain't the same heat. It literally, it's not the same.
It's not, okay.
It's not. It's hotter. And so they are hoping that this will have a ripple effect throughout the community. So give it up for the kids and
I like that. That is cool.
other playgrounds take heed because it's hot out there. Shit.
It's crazy. So, and I love that you tell we're not crazy when we say this heat is different. It really is.
Yeah.
And the kids have proof.
And even if you go on the My Radar app, it gives a spectrum of how temperatures have changed across decades since like the late 1800s, and it has been getting progressively hotter in Atlanta at least since the 80s. There was, obviously warming and cooling periods, but yeah, we definitely not crazy. And whether it's global warming or not, because there's a Republicans member talking somewhere that will say opposite, whether it's global warming or not, we know for a fact that we're contributing to it in one way or the other. But yeah, shout out to the babies.
All right. So moving along in Atlanta news, a federal jury awarded $100 million to a 69-year-old man. His name is Jerry Blassingame. This past week, Jerry Blassingame was panhandling for money near I-20, the I-20 West ramp, when Officer John Grubbs approached him. The encounter escalated to a foot chase, which led to Officer Grubbs tasing him in the back, causing Blassingame to fall and hit his head on cement. As a result, Blassingame suffered multiple facial fractures, brain injury, and a broken neck. He has received 24/7 care since the incident, and he currently has medical bills amounting to $14 million. Jurors ruled that Officer Grubbs used unreasonable force and found that the Atlanta Police Department should pay $60 million and Grubbs should pay $40 million. Grubbs still works for the Atlanta Police Department and was not charged for the incident. So we all know the man ain't gonna get that other $40,000, but at least he's getting hopefully 60. They need to pay up and run him his money. It's really unfortunate.
Wait, so you said the man that got tased has $14 million in bills?
Yes, correct.
The officer got sued for $40 million, even though he still worked for APD, which we know they don't make enough money to pay that kind of. Okay, and then he's suing APD. They sued APD for $60 million.
I don't know if how it's separated out. I'm sure they just sued both parties, but the jury stated that APD had to pay him $60 million and then Grubbs $40 million.
Okay. I'm really glad that man is he's getting the 24/7 care that he needs. This is a bit overwhelming. These numbers are too big, and it's the circumstances too much. He hit his head on the pavement. I'm sorry, this is really throwing me off. That's a lot of money to spend on the medical expenses alone. That was also what was really throwing me off. $14 million. When did this initially happen? Because I'm trying to think how long have these bills been accumulated? Did the article mention that?
Not from right here. I don't know if I mentioned this too, that Blassingame was 69 years old. So I don't even know what kind of panhandling he was doing that would warrant all of that. Let me see if I can find it.
It's all good. I just, this is really sad. And I know this is the thing. For years and years now, whether it be with TikTok, social media in general, there has already been consistently a war between the public and law enforcement in general, because oftentimes law enforcement incidences get, they go viral for stuff like this. Some of it is warranted, some of it is not warranted. In this circumstance, it doesn't sound like it was. It's just really, really sad. That's one of our elderly people. And we oftentimes talk about our unhoused population, our elderly population, our veteran population, and how underserved they are. So for him to experience, as a matter of fact, we talked about somebody who basically tackled an old person at the VA a couple episodes back. And that incident, we gotta stop mistreating each other. Forget what your profession is, whether you law enforcement, whether you're a government worker, whether you work at McDonald's. We gotta stop mistreating each other. This is becoming overwhelming. Like, he's 69 years old, a head injury. And we know what happened when old people fall. Like, sometimes it's over with soon after. And so we're glad that he's been receiving the care. As far as APD is concerned, and not at minimum suspending this guy or doing some type of investigation, I'm a little bit concerned around that. I understand if he was doing what he was supposed to do, and I know we don't know all the details, I guess, of the situation, but this is too much. We got to do better.
Yeah, this happened in 2018. He was actually left paralyzed from this incident. It said that he took off running as the officer approached him, but was pursued by grubs who fired his stun gun at him from about 10 feet away, hitting him in the back of the head, causing him to fall on his face and paralyzing him.
Yeah, so when I was looking up this story, I was really trying to get the details to kind of see like what was going on so that I could make as good of an assessment, as possible of the situation. This does, from what I saw, sound like excessive force. The thing about it is, from the beginning, Mr. Blazing Game, I'm so sorry that he is homeless, apparently. And I'll flip this coin. I'll start on one side. Panhandling. Can it cause issues? Absolutely. Do I understand the need for it? Absolutely. But have there been incidents where people have been harmed during that? Yes. This is why, a lot of times people will call the police to say, hey, somebody's over here, because people have experienced things. Kirby, you've experienced somebody coming up to you asking for money and you got carjacked and physically attacked, so these things happen. This isn't just made up in people's heads. However, when a 60-something, near 70-year-old man is panhandling, obviously homeless, and he takes off running when you come, he probably already knows he's, not supposed to be there, just doesn't want to get arrested and going away. With use of force, it is taught that, you can't use force like as somebody who's just faster than you, unless they are, unless they present a threat. If they get away from me, they're going to do harm to someone else. If they turn that corner, they say they're going to shoot the whole block up when they get up there, so I got to stop them. But this man is probably just trying to run away with his change and his sign and his few belongings, to get away. Shooting him in the back while he's running away and him falling. Yeah, he need to get paid. If it was me, I'd be trying to get paid too. I'm sorry that, and I don't even know if 100 million gonna make me feel better, because I've lost the use of my body.
Yeah,
and I don't know what that's worth. The 40 million from the officer, I mean, unless he get the lottery or something, you ain't gonna never see that. So I guess that's what they feel he owes, but he will never be able to pay that. I hope he gets the money from the police department, but at the same time, I hate that, because that's taxpayers paying that money. And so it's like they're not really paying it. We are. We being whoever that local, wherever that local precinct is. So
Bucky is paying that money.
yeah, yeah. So that kind of sucks to me in that sense. I just think, from what they said, this man was not being a threat. He was a nuisance. It was something that was making people feel uncomfortable, uneasy. Probably, when you pull up to off the interstate and somebody's standing next to your window, and you're a little uncomfortable. But it looked like he wasn't doing anything to people. So hate that it had to escalate to that point. Pay him.
To your point of discomfort and nuisances and stuff, it's a whole lot of stuff that makes me uncomfortable when I'm outside. That don't necessarily mean that harm has to be caused to somebody. Matter of fact, there was a back and forth. I don't know if anybody uses the Nextdoor app. There's a back and forth between some of my neighbors about someone having junk in their yard and having a box fan in their window. And someone called it hood or called it ghetto. Those people are not doing anything to you. It's a nuisance, maybe even bothers you, but it's not something that's causing you harm. And so, to get on the internet and be trying to drag people about what they're doing on their own property. And I get it. This guy was on public property while he was panhandling, so that, presents some things as well. But a nuisance is not a reason for excessive force. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, you can get on the internet and say what you want. That ain't excessive force. but don't go to your neighbor's house and tase them
Right.
because you don't like their box fan.
Right.
That's too much. Okay, well, moving right along. I still, I'm gonna leave it there.
No,
So I'm gonna leave it there. I'm gonna leave it there because we could continue going on and on and on. Kirby, I'm gonna let you take us into the next story.
well, speaking of taxpayers' money, the church's money, on Labor Day, Georgia's Cobb County government unexpectedly expressed support for a plan for the State Department of Transportation to actually expand Interstate 285. For those of you that are not from Atlanta, we have a big old circle that goes around our city. If you ever get lost, a native will probably tell you get on 285 and go until you see the exit that you need to get off on. They're actually supporting the adding of some additional toll lanes from South Atlanta Road to Henderson Road. Josh Green of Urbanized Atlanta explained this project would cross 3 counties, Cobb, Fulton, and DeKalb, and the jurisdictions of several cities, including Smyrna, a place that a lot of you gentrifiers like to move to, Sandy Springs, Dunwoody, Brookhaven, Chamblee, Dorville, and Tucker. The article also notes that another intent of the Express Lanes project, as GOT has stressed from inception, is to provide mobility choices and more reliable trip times for Metro Atlantans. And of course, if you've been down here in the last 5 to 10 years, y'all know that the travel within the perimeter has gone from 20 minutes to 20 hours. So if you don't leave your house the day before, you may not get where you're trying to get to. So they're trying to solve for this particular problem. It was first revealed in 2019. However, it doesn't add any new rail lines. Instead, the public transit providers that already operate buses and other vehicles in the corridor, like MARTA and the Express Bus, those who work inside the perimeter and take the Express Bus know what that is. It's typically outside the perimeter and brings you to different MARTA stations or places for drop off. And state registered van pools will actually be able to use the new lanes for free with no additional cost to riders, according to GDOT. Pricing on the toll lanes will adjust in real time based on traffic conditions, similar to the toll lane that goes up through Gwinnett County currently. It estimates that the toll lanes will actually be completed all the way in 2032. So since those prices are adjusting the same way that interest rates do y'all think that you'll be using this transit lane to get from one side of Narnia to the other?
First of all, it said this thing gonna cost $11 billion estimated, which to me means it's gonna be more than $11 billion. Because as we know, any construction costs go up. That's a lot of money. It's gonna take about 10 years to complete. I don't even know if I'm gonna still be here in 10 years.
Period.
Like here on Earth, here in Atlanta area, here in Georgia. So I don't even know if I'm gonna be here to drive on these roads that we about to pay for. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, traffic is really hard. Everybody knows traffic in Atlanta is crazy. It's getting ridiculous, looking real LA-ish. Lately we congested over here. We're full. Right. We need some Mucinex for the interstates over here.
And some Imodium.
So I don't know. I don't. I guess my initial thing is I don't like the idea of having to pay to drive anywhere.
I already paid for that.
But I also kind of do like the option of if I want to get there a lot quicker, I have another route that I could take to get me there. So I don't know. I'm on the fence.
I definitely understand. And after going through, because I used to work in Alpharetta, and anybody that gets to see this, if you know anything about the metro Atlanta area, Alpharetta is another section of Narnia that is north of the city. And it takes, even without traffic, almost 40 minutes to get to the end of Alpharetta, and maybe about 30 minutes to get to the front end of Alpharetta. And so I'm wary and a little leery about toll roads because it's like I'm paying to be in different types of traffic versus actually circumventing traffic. And then if it's going to take 10 years to build an $11 billion, then similar to 400, it's going to take 20 years to pay for it. So this just more of the church's money getting messed up, the building funds sitting there being used for things and misappropriated. But this is what people are going to do. But to Auntie Nick's point, God willing that California has not burned the fuck up by that time. Hopefully I'll have me a little condo out in San Diego, or I might be in Portugal. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going to be. We'll
I
see.
don't know. They're also encouraging bus usage because, like, buses and public transportation and stuff, they get to go free through the tolls. So,
Well,
you
if
know,
they smell like MARTA buses, I won't be on
yeah. Me neither. Moving along. Um, Kandi Burris, an Atlanta staple, just experienced another issue in one of her restaurants. Kirby, let us know what happened.
Well, y'all know I'm the West Side Woodnymph, and this happened not on my watch. I wasn't on shift this day.
Not on my watch.
My side of town. An employee actually shot one of their co-workers at a restaurant owned by Miss Kandi Burris of the Real Housewives of Atlanta. It actually happened at Blaze Steak and Seafood off of Cascade Road this past Wednesday night. Apparently, a suspect was on the run. He has been caught as of this recording after shooting a coworker at the well-known South Fulton restaurant, which I find is interesting that they refer to that part of Atlanta as South Fulton. I guess it's within the city limits, but it's literally right by 285, and it was unincorporated Atlanta, so maybe that's why they consider it South Fulton. But that's Atlanta. It happened, like I said, at the Blaze Steak and Seafood off of Cascade Road on Wednesday night. Apparently, the police Lieutenant Rogers said an employee was involved in some sort of fight and fired their gun, striking another employee in the arm. That employee was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Of course, the restaurant opened in 2020 and is named after the couple's daughter. Of course, they also own Old Lady Gang in East Point and another one in Castleberry Hill in Atlanta. 3 people were actually shot in 2020 after a man entered Old Lady Gang restaurant and targeted another man, East Point Police Captain Alan Glover said at the time. And 2 bystanders were also shot in the incident, and all 3 victims suffered non-life-threatening injuries. Of course, we know all the restaurants have been featured many times on the Bravo reality TV show Real Housewives of Atlanta. And I just, I don't eat Southern cuisine as often as I used to, just for health reasons and also because I have an expanded palate. I like a lot of different types of food. But one thing I don't want in my cornbread is bullets. I don't need shell casings in my collard greens. I don't need gunpowder in my fried chicken. And it's just really interesting to me that y'all have had 3 shootings at 2 of your restaurants in less than 3 years. Help me understand, Kandi. You are a Grammy Award winning writer and singer and artist. You got all these beautiful kids. You on Real Housewives of Atlanta, defending yourself against the likes of Nene Leakes, all the way down to Kenya Moore and anybody else that you went to battle with. How is it that we can't seem to hire staff that knows how to resolve conflicts without violence? Help me understand, Kandi. Listen, I got space in my calendar to do a little part-time work, bring a little joy and sunshine into the lives of the people there. Maybe you need folks that are not stressed out working at your restaurants. Please call me. I have no problem being a hostess or a manager, but we got to calm this down, because these are these are the last pieces of Atlanta that us Black folks have as far as having peaceful food experiences. And we need to hold on to that, and we need to cultivate that. Like I said, I don't want shell cases in my macaroni and cheese. My pot liquor.
Have y'all eaten at her restaurants?
Yeah, I've eaten at Old Lady Gang. Now I don't do Blaze steak and seafood because I don't eat steak from places that let me be thoughtful about my words. I don't eat steak from certain places. I'm just going to say that. I have a particular palate as it relates to when I eat red meat because I don't eat it often. But Old Lady Gang, though it can be salty on occasion, is actually pretty tasty. Their fried chicken is good. The cornbread is very tasty. I had peach cobbler from there at one point. So the food is decent. Now, here's what I didn't do. I didn't eat inside. I've gotten it off of Uber Eats. So,
Kaylee, have you eaten at her restaurants?
I've been to Old Lady Gang. I don't even remember what I had. So I guess it wasn't that memorable, but I don't remember it being bad. So there's that.
I've never eaten at restaurants either.
No one got on the day that I went, so that was good.
No, very good. No bullets flew. Yeah, it was kind of shocking to me that it was an employee that was doing the shooting on my end. That I'm like, what could y'all have possibly have been arguing about in the back? Like, why y'all? This is why folks be complaining about food be taking too long to come out, because y'all be having shootouts in the kitchen instead of the wait time is crazy. That's why. Apparently, the person got shot in the arm and they're okay. I mean, I guess it's okay as you can be. Got shot. I guess that's my comment. What could you have possibly have been arguing about at that time?
Maybe somebody
And
grease up too high.
why you got a gun at work in the back? Like, were you security? And like, does she have security? Are they? I mean, like, I don't understand how this puzzle got put together to where this even happened. I don't know, and this is why they don't like fraternization at work, because the shit escalates to now somebody done got shot and is in the hospital, and all their business is out in the streets. I don't know, Kaylee. I don't know if you had any comments on it.
I just had the same question. Like, why do you have a gun on you while you flipping chicken? Like, I just don't understand. Like, why? Like, you got your gat and the spatula. Like, what are you doing? I mean, was this planned? Did you have beef with this person, like building up to this, and that's why you had the gun? I mean, it makes me wonder just like what really is going on. But I mean, it's madness. Atlanta, we really need to cut it out with the guns and the shooting and all that. It's just ridiculous. It's senseless. He's lucky he didn't kill that person. He's lucky they only got shot in their arm. Because he would be facing murder charges or attempted murder charges if he wasn't whatever. I don't know if he was trying to just shoot for the arm or what, but it's just like, why any of that? Like, I don't know.
I don't understand. Because like usually when somebody shoot at you, they're trying to kill you. So did you just not have good aim? And you just nicked the arm or shot the arm, and that was your lucky day?
It was smoking, or they couldn't see.
Yeah, I guess. But like you said, hopefully no shell casings got in the mac and cheese or the collard greens. I don't know. On in Atlanta news, you gotta fight for your right to party. Political party, to be exact. Political party or partying. I don't know. Literally, like the song says. Michael Render, you may know him as rapper Killer Mike, and Tauheed Epps, better known as rapper 2 Chainz, got it back in their political bag in a recent Atlanta City Council meeting to express their frustrations with some recent proposals to change legislation that may affect the Atlanta music and party scene. Basically, the proposed changes would make it easier for municipal judges to shut down businesses if there are acts of violence there. It's very ironic. We just talk about a shooting in the restaurant. That would kind of fall under there. Under the current nuisance property laws, about half a dozen bars were shut down in the last year. Most businesses targeted, though, were like gas stations and apartment complexes that are actually owned by people that don't even live here. They live out of town. For example, the Georgia Aquarium is across the street from the former location of Encore Lounge. That was a hookah bar on Lucky Street. It had 171 emergency calls to police over 2 years.
Damn.
Over a 2 year span, 171 911 calls. One shooting managed to put a hole in the dolphin tank across the street in the aquarium. And that just goes to show why they're doing this, because it's always random on, passersby, people not even involved that end up getting shot or hit or affected by this. Yeah, the Dolphins child Flipper over there.
Flipper duty
business, and somebody shooting his house up. Yeah, a bullet hole went from the lounge across the street and hit the dolphin tank and lodged in the tank. So that's crazy. However, they say as Atlanta grows, corporations are going to be coming in here, is what Killer Mike was saying. Someone is going to have a nightlife in a convention city. Is it going to be the owners of Hard Rock, or is it going to be the little people who went to Frederick Douglass and Mays and Southwest DeKalb high schools? The question is going to become, are we going to keep Atlanta a place where people can grow and thrive? Their thing, they say, when you come around and you need donations, you come around and need votes, you come to us singers and dancers and club owners, and we oblige you. So basically they're saying, when y'all politicians want to get elected, y'all need votes, you need influence, you come to us, we sing, we dance, we get on the mic, we show up to your events, we use our influence to try to get you elected, but in return, you're passing legislation that is affecting our business, because Atlanta is a place where a lot of those people own businesses and they rely on nightlife and music scenes that kind of coincide with nightlife to make their living. So, I mean, what do you guys think? Does he have a point, or is he missing the point?
He definitely has a point, and I don't disagree with Killer Mike, but we can walk and chew gum at the same time, right? We can rub our bellies and tap and tap our heads at the same time, right? So
I can't.
it's not hard. It's not hard. It's not hard. But seriously, I get it. He's absolutely right about folks coming to Black Atlanta, Black entertainers from Atlanta, asking for their political clout and their social capital within the Black community to get Black voters to give them their vote and throw their support behind them. He's absolutely accurate with that. What is also absolutely accurate is that a lot of the establishments that are owned by y'all are consistently having issues. And this goes back also to him and T.I. crying about, I think it was Atlanta City Councilwoman that ran for mayor, Ms. Moore, who had put her support behind some ordinance-related things around being able to shut recording studios down at a certain time or having to be able to get citations when y'all making too much noise in residential areas. Here's the thing. We can coexist, but y'all got to run your business accordingly. If your businesses are interrupting people's daily lives, that's still a problem as well. Also, no one's making you support these candidates either. You don't have to put your money behind them. You don't have to put your social capital and the people that support you behind them. You can continue to do what you also tell other people to do, which is to do your research, read up on people's political backgrounds, and let people make their own choices versus trying to be the mayor of your people and trying to make folks vote in your political best interest. Because a lot of the people that do support your music, support your restaurants, and support your behavior don't necessarily benefit from the political platforms that you support with your money and your so-called social capital. So I think that this is a circumstance where there needs to be some balance brought to the conversation. I want Killer Mike and 2 Chainz and even T.I. ignorant ass to be able to have their businesses and allow them to thrive in Atlanta. At the same time, as a citizen who pays taxes up in this motherfucker, I need to also be able to know that if your business is causing me problems, I have a place of recourse and someone to reach out to, or a service or organization to reach out to be able to get some resolve. Because we can't come directly to y'all. Y'all still ain't reopened Bankhead Fish like you said that you would. It's just sitting there. And T.I. is building $700,000 townhomes on Bankhead, contributing to the gentrification that goes on in this city, but will then get on the internet and holler about, oh, Keisha's the mayor and we do this, and Black Atlanta is the reason for this and the third. And that is partially true, but Black Atlanta, we just got to keep it a hundo schmundo. And when I say Black Atlanta, I mean those of you that's got the money that don't actually live inside the city of Atlanta. Because Killer and T.I. and Tahi do not live within Fulton County, but that's neither here nor there. You all still need to be able to be responsible as business owners if you're going to continuously ask folks to support y'all in the political campaigns that you throw your energy behind. And if you're going to do that, you need to be serving the people. It needs to be a reciprocal relationship. I need to be able to trust that if you want the Blue Flame to be open 24 hours, that it's not going to disrupt my daily living, because I got a regular job. I go to work from 9 to 5. So I shouldn't have to deal with your fool-la-la. And that's that on that.
I mean, I think it's 2 separate issues. To me, you can't be used if you don't allow yourself to be used. So Killer Mike and 2 Chainz, if they're out here and they're, hitting the pavement and they're campaigning for their politician of choice or whatever, that's a decision that they chose to make. So they can't be mad when politicians turn around and don't do things or enact legislation that's not in their interest. Because that shouldn't have been the purpose or the reason why you're campaigning for someone to get something done. It's not a quid pro quo thing. So that's number one. Secondly, I do get what he's saying. He's saying that with the new legislation as it stands now, you could be penalized just for like one incident, of violence. And it's not really clear how they define that. And so that is a concern because, you can have a lounge. An incident of violence can be there was a fight in the club, which can happen anywhere at any club, no matter what, Black, white, Hispanic, whatever. And is that enough? It's going to be a punitive nature or leading that club to shut down. The other point that he raised was the money. A lot of these businesses are owned by individuals or smaller businesses, Black-owned companies. The money that it would take to implement certain security measures and all of that, that's expensive. Now, do your patrons should feel safe in that establishment or your establishment. But then there's a balance too of how much money do you have to put out there in order to like shore up the security. And so another point that Killer Mike and Two Chains were making was that you're going to drive these smaller businesses out of business. We already know that Atlanta is being gentrified. I mean, that's been years and years in the making. And so it's just going to open up all these properties for these white corporations to come in, and swoop up and buy these traditionally black owned establishments in these traditionally what were or what used to be black owned, or excuse me, black populated areas. So I think there's two
Yeah.
sides to it.
I think you hit the nail on the head with the issue with the legislation is it needs to be revised. It needs to be specific. It needs to give room for things are going to happen. No matter how good things are, to make it so that some place can't have a single incident, I think that's unrealistic. And it is kind of a ploy to say, well, this just gives it up so we can just shut things down and buy them up. And that's a little shady to me. But I do like that they're saying, no, we can't continue having these issues. It's difference between having one incident and 171 incidents, in a short time frame. And those are the things that I think the legislation is trying to address. And although like Kirby said, I want people, I want all people to be able to have successful businesses, because that's what community is all about. What you're not going to do is terrorize a community or think that we're going to allow you to continue to do things that are damaging to our community because you think we like you or we like your music or because you're popular. I don't give a damn about none of that. I don't want bullet hole. The same way it hit that dolphin, it could have hit someone. My niece actually was sleeping in bed before, and the bullet came through a window and pierced right above her head and her headboard and lodged in the bathroom. That was a very scary experience because had she been sleeping in a slightly different position, it would have hit her in her head. But bullets flying is not a funny thing, and she lived in a nice neighborhood. That's like you said, it can happen anywhere. But those are the things that we can't tolerate. Um, yeah, I think Killer Mike and Two Chains have a point, but I think at the same time they did miss the point. Whereas the bigger thing is we got to cut down on these type of incidents. What can we do to change that? And monitor that so that the other thing ain't even a problem. Because if you monitor that, it don't matter what the legislation say because we ain't gonna get to that point. But we are at that point right now. We just talked about people can't even go sit down at Kandi restaurant without the employees back there shooting each other. Moving along, like a good neighbor, Pastor Jennings was there. Have y'all ever been asked to look after a person's place or their pet or something while they were out of town?
It's
Like I have.
like in my
It's been a long time.
yeah, me in my childhood, my grandparents and we always got asked, but we also had a community where that was something that was normal.
Yeah.
Nowadays, not so much.
Same thing. Growing up, if we went out of town, our neighbor would come and like feed the cat, walk around, make sure nobody been messing with any doors or you know what I mean? Like check on your house, water your flowers, check your mail so your mail isn't piling up and people realize you're not there or something, neighborly things and vice versa. I would go feed their dog, water their grass. My dad even cut someone's grass before, just things that neighborly people do. Well, apparently, like Kirby said, that ain't really the norm anymore. And maybe it looks a little weird for people when they see these things being done. And it also goes to show people don't even know their neighbors as well as they used to. So this happened back in May. There was an incident in Childersburg, Alabama. The officers out there got a call about a man who was at a neighbor's house. This is from a woman in the neighborhood. Thought he looked suspicious, and there was a car parked at the house that looked suspicious. So the officers came, and we see all of this on their lapel cam, their body cam. So they approached the man. He is actually watering the flowers as they approach. They say hello. He immediately identifies himself. They don't even ask him. He's like, "Hi, I'm Pastor Jennings, and I live across the street. Just looking out. My neighbors asked me to watch out for their house and do these things while they're gone. They're out of town." They asked him for his ID. He refuses to give it to him. I don't need to give you my ID. I'm doing what they asked me to do. About a minute and a half later, he says, "You know what? I'm just going to call them." He reaches in, he gets his phone. As he's trying to dial them, they place him under arrest and handcuff him. And they say they're arresting him for obstruction. So his wife arrives. She has his ID. Again, says, "Yeah, we live across the street." He's doing this for the neighbors. They were like, "Oh, well, all right." And then the lady comes over who called the police. White woman, neighbor. She's now feeling really crunchy. She's like, "Look, he does live there. I think I made a mistake. This is all my fault. He probably is looking out for their house. This is something that they would ask him to do while they're out of town." The police are like, "Well, we've already arrested him. We can't unarrest him. It's too late." The charges were dropped with prejudice. But I want to ask you guys, does this change? Who was wrong here? Was the officer wrong? Was the pastor wrong? Were the neighbors wrong for even asking him to do it? I do want to also say the neighbors felt really, really bad. They did an interview and they felt horrible because they were like, "We literally asked him like to do this. This isn't something new, that we trusted him. We've been neighbors for a long time. We knew he would look after the house. No way did we think that we had to like inform the rest of our neighbors what we were doing to get permission for Pastor Jennings to come and do this." Yeah, what did you guys think? How do you feel?
I thought it was a bunch of bullshit. I thought it was a bunch of bullshit. I don't know who this neighbor was. I wasn't able to ascertain how long Pastor Jennings had lived in that neighborhood, but it seemed like he had been there for quite some time, as well as the neighbor whose yard he was tending to.
Oh, and while you're on that, the car was the neighbor's car. Like that was their car in their driveway,
the
not a
neighbors who
strange
were
car.
out of town.
The neighbors who were out of town was their own car. That was the strange car.
Yeah, this lady, I don't know what was wrong with her, what she had smoked when she looked out the window. Maybe she doesn't like Pastor Jennings. Maybe she's, I don't know. I don't know. I thought the words that she used they were very interesting. She said they are friends and they went out of town today, so he may be watering their flowers and it could be completely normal. Like, what do you mean? But when she made the call, she said it was a suspicious individual who might be inside of the home.
Mm-hmm.
What are you talking about? Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I guess Pastor Jennings be playing his gospel music too loud. You know what I'm saying? Saturday mornings when he's cleaning up or whatever. And she was just like, "I'm gonna get his ass," because that's what this looked like. It looks like a setup. And also, everybody, you do not have to give your identification card to law enforcement. You do not. He was not doing anything. He was watering flowers.
Watering flowers.
Yeah, you are not obligated to provide identification to law enforcement just because they ask for it. You don't have to answer anyone's questions just because they ask.
And he did identify himself
Yeah,
without them even asking. Immediately, he's like, "I'm Pastor Jennings. I live across the street."
Right. Yeah. I'm just saying formal identification. You don't have to.
Yeah, and I think that's why he said, "Well, no, I'm not going to give you my ID." He didn't even have his ID on him because he literally walked across the street.
Yeah. Don't keep your ID on you when you watering flowers. What?
Right. Of course. Let me stay ID'd up while I go get these roses. Like no, he walked across the street. He wasn't doing anything wrong. He didn't need to identify himself, even though he did. But no, formally he doesn't need to give them that because he wasn't breaking any law. They were literally there on a call from someone who, as far as they knew, that was his house.
This poor white woman. Was she white?
Mm-hmm.
This poor white woman. Toni Morrison spoke during one of her interviews about how racism is profound neurosis, and more importantly, that white people need to figure out what they are going to do about racism and leave the rest of us out of it, because it's a psychological system and mental health issue and crisis that they created. Maybe Pastor Jennings was not watering it properly. Maybe if he had slathered himself down in whiteout or chalk before he Watutsi'd across the street to do what his neighbors had asked him to do. Perhaps if he had put on some skin bleaching cream. Maybe if he had put on some overalls and some boots and a straw hat and was singing Negro spirituals as he watered those flowers, then perhaps she would not have felt threatened, because he probably was over there, in his casual wear, like pastors do, with his Uncle Grilling sandals on, like black uncles do. And he just looks suspicious, because yes, you can take off running in them Grilling sandals. White female fragility, and I understand it's not all of y'all, so if we do have any white fans, please calm down. But in general, the collective white female fragility that is handed off to them because of white supremacy, it is just mind-boggling to me. And then using the police all the time as your watchdogs, as your overseers, in a sense. We're going to get you niggas together. You're going to act and behave in the way in which we desire you to, whether I tell you directly or whether I have the police or someone else in some type of authority position to tell you how to do it. And like Auntie Kaylee was saying, the language was so pointed, maybe, could, because you knew you was wrong. Did you put your glasses on when you rolled over that morning, my love? Did you spill the milk and break something in the refrigerator and decided I want to take my energy, my negative energy out on a stranger? And to Auntie Nick's point about, do we really know our neighbors? Y'all live in Alabama. I know y'all in each other's business, especially small city Alabama, because I know how small cities in the country parts of the country work. You knew who that man was. You was bored and you needed some entertainment. And you're also probably a closeted, well, now not so much closeted, you're now an out racist. Like, find something to do. The Golden Girls are on. Watch some Lifetime television if you want to be entertained.
Yeah, a lot of these older neighborhoods, like my parents' neighborhood, like the people have lived there for a long time. They know each other. There are very few new neighbors in the neighborhood. And so if I was to look out the window and see a strange person, it would be very apparent. Like, we've never seen this person before. But if you were so concerned, call the neighbor. Hey, did you have somebody doing work at your house? I know you're out of town. I see someone there. Do you want me to go see what's going on? Do you want me to call the police? Do that. But no, you did a whistle, a dog whistle, to get somebody caught up. Also, I don't know many criminals that come to your house just to do yard work. Like, because if somebody want to come over here and just start watering shit, I'm going to watch them, but I'm going to let them do it. Same time next week. All right, strange fellows, appreciate it. As long as you don't do nothing. And if I call the police, I'm be like, oh, officer, you can take them, but let them finish. Let them finish what they're doing. Because this is free labor, But no, I don't, even seeing that, if I see somebody watering right now, if I see you breaking into a window, then yeah, that's a little suspicious. But if I see you watering the roses, like, okay, that's Pastor from across the street. Yeah, they out of town, so he probably doing that. Yeah, this all around, like, this was very strange. And I also don't like weird arrests. You didn't commit a crime, but I'm arresting you to arrest you. And then I charge you with not helping me arrest. Like, that's like when somebody didn't do anything and they arrest them, and then I'm charging you with resisting arrest. That's your only charge. Well, I had to have been arrested for something in order for me to be resisting arrest. So what was the original charge? Well, there is no original charge. I can't be resisting arrest if you weren't arresting me for something else. It's like one of those weird things. Like, I'm just charging you to charge you with something. The man was trying to call the neighbors, and you didn't want him to call. You didn't want to resolve this. You just wanted to arrest somebody. Because if it was that deep, yeah, call the neighbors. Let's see if we can get this whole thing figured out and move on, and then maybe go talk to the lady, be like, hey, they were fine. You may want to get your facts straight before you call us out here. Somebody could have gotten hurt or something, The language was funny. The lady did kind of have those pointed words. I wish she would have come over there and just said, you know what, this is all my fault. I was completely wrong. I misjudged this situation. I do recognize him. Maybe like Kirby said, I didn't have my glasses on. I thought he was someone else. I know him and his wife. I take full responsibility. Something, but she didn't do that. So,
Well, run me that gift card to Chili's and get off my lawn.
well, Nigeria would not be dealing with her right now.
My Niger brethren.
So Kirby, this was really interesting. I need you to give me the details though, because from what I heard from you talking about it, this they may be on to something.
Yeah, so Yahoo News, an actual credible source for the most part, has actually reported that Nigeria is the first country, okay, all those big-headed Nigerians, Niger baby, the first country to ban foreign talent from its ads. The effort is actually meant to amplify and promote more homegrown talent within the country. Beginning on October 1st of this year, the year of our Lord, 2022, companies in Nigeria will actually only be permitted to showcase local Nigerian talent for entertainment gigs such as acting, modeling, voiceovers, and much more. Current advertisement that includes talents that are foreign to Nigeria will be allowed to proceed, but new permits will not be considered for any ads that do not consist of homegrown Nigerian talent. Prior to this law being instated, the Nigerian government actually charged companies nearly $240 for the use of foreign talent in their ads. Many companies would use British voiceovers or white models for their ad campaigns, and now the government has decided that that needs to change. So Niger, whether it be Lagos, Port Harcourt, Abuja, no more white people on the billboards anymore. No more voiceovers with the white people. We don't want any of this. I don't want any whiteness in my fufu or my stew. I'm not going to have it. It's not going to be something I'm going to do. Of course, I'm pretty sure the whites are on the internet like, this is reverse racism, and I can't believe, and how dare you? But what I see it is a step in the right direction for Nigerian pride. A lot of African countries have been colonized by countries in Europe. And Nigeria specifically was colonized by Great Britain or United Kingdom, whatever you want to call it, the place where the witch is dead.
Which has been discussed a lot the last couple days.
Right, but I'm not even giving her that energy because I'm pretty sure her, Hitler, and everybody else is having tea right now. So I'm gonna leave them where they at. But I think it's a good step. It's a step in the right direction as far as Nigerian pride is concerned, because after a country has been colonized, oftentimes that comes with a lot of self-hatred and anti-Blackness. And a lot of Nigerians, especially of my parents' generation, still have this reverence for their colonizers. A lot of people were in the streets mourning about the situation and circumstance that happened. And even outside of that, there have been consistent issues for years because of the education that was provided to Nigerians. Nigerians being told that the same things that Black people in America have dealt with. You're too Black, so things like skin lightening soap and only putting light-skinned Nigerians in the forefront as far as who is talented, who is beautiful in Nigerian culture. When we have a breadth and a broad spectrum of people of color within the country of Nigeria, the same way it is in the rest of the diaspora. You got people that are as Black as night and people are that as light that are damn near white. To me, it's exciting and it's setting a precedence. And I know everybody has had their fun and heyday on the internet about how Nigerians are scammers, so on and so forth. Well, this one is not a scam. This is for real. This is a step in the right direction for Nigerian pride, for Black pride, and also to set an example to other African countries that have been colonized that you do not have to placate to anti-Blackness, placate to anti-African sentiments, placate to colonialism and colonized ways of thinking and doing things. That you are beautiful as you are, that you're amazing as you are. Your culture does not have to be whitewashed in order for it to be valid. So I appreciate that, Nigeria is taking this step in the right direction. The next thing I need Nigeria to do is to get their men together, because they still don't know how to act, and they're just as much, in my opinion, in my experience, they are just as much culpable for a lot of the problems that go on in Nigeria as the colonizers that came to Nigeria and created the initial issues. But for those that don't know, majority of Nigerians are men. And we all know that when there are too many men in the room, things get a little wonky, and especially if they are hyper-traditional, antiquated ways of thinking. And so there's a lot of work that still needs to be done, but this is definitely a step in the right direction. So I'm very proud of my father's country for doing that.
Yeah, I'm definitely here for it as a Black woman. So, any white person who has a problem with it, with this Black girl magic that's about to, take over Nigeria's advertisements and voiceovers and all that, they can go, I'm not gonna finish what they can go do, but they can go do something. They can go do something else with their time because I don't give a damn. I think this is awesome. I think it's crazy that an African country even had like a whole bunch of white models and British voiceovers. That's really odd. And even more damaging than what I guess we see here in America, because I can't imagine living in Nigeria amongst nothing but African Americans. I mean, sorry, Black people, excuse me, Africans, minus the American, but living amongst nothing but Africans, and then turning on my TV and the beauty commercial is featuring a white woman, and the voiceover is that of a British lady. Like, that's really strange. I know how damaging it is just as an African American woman growing up in this society, barely seeing Black women, definitely not seeing Black women who are darker skinned. And that's definitely, I mean, even though I'm glad for the ban, it's not going to fix colorism. Nothing is ever going to fix colorism. I think colorism is going to be here until we're all, meld into one shade of beige or something eventually. Hey, Black men are doing their part to make that happen. They are. What I thought was interesting, though, even though it starts October 1st, the people who already have contracts who are non-natives, they're allowed to finish out their terms. So that'll be interesting to see if there's going to be like a flurry of like just a whole bunch of like white commercials and British voiceovers before they finish out like their terms and conditions of their contracts. I don't know how long their contracts last for. I don't know, but it'll be interesting. I say go Nigeria.
Go, Nigeria, go.
Go Nigeria. And I hope other communities and countries and places around the world follow suit. I don't think there's anything wrong with the standard of beauty in your particular place reflects the people who are there. How is this a problem? I can't imagine going to Switzerland and the standard of beauty being like Lupita Nyong'o. Like that would be odd. She is beautiful, but that does not reflect the population that's there, that's native to there, so that is why that would be like, oh, that's really interesting that everybody here wants to be like dark skinned African with like an African accent. Interesting, but they're in Switzerland. But to flip it, that would be odd, but people don't see the problem when, there's a country in Africa, or many countries in Africa, where the white British is the standard. That is very damaging to people. Like you said, we're not going to get into it right now, but the British colonialism has been a huge topic of conversation, and it was so shocking to some people that was even a thought that people would have, or that they wouldn't mourn, the death of someone who was a part of something that has done so much damage, even within their lifetime, to people that look like them, and or literally them, their parents, their grandparents, who are affected by those things, and we still see the trickle down and the remnants of that as we speak. So go Niger. I'm all for it. I'm not crying no tears.
I think it's a fair trade. We will send you your British models and actors and voiceover people back. Send all the Nigerian art and all the masks that y'all stole, and all the body parts that you took as trophies during the Biafran War. Send all that back too. Thanks.
How about that? Something else some people are trying to send them back is the stork, the one that brings the baby. They have returned to sender. Millennials ain't having it. Kirby, tell us about that.
Yeah, not only millennials, but Gen Z as well. There's a number of reasons. Associated Press was reporting, as they've been talking to different millennials and different members of the Gen Z generation, basically saying we don't want as Auntie Kelly would say, fuck them kids. We don't want all of them children. But there's a various number of reasons why. And the article speaks of a few of them. Number one that I see here is that a lot of Gen Zers and millennials feel like it's actually not responsible to bring children into this world at this time. There are already kids that need homes, so a lot of people are considering adoption. And they also feel like they don't know what the world's going to look like in 20, 30, 40 years because hashtag Gen X and baby boomers gave us some fucked up shit. Some are also saying that they feel like after the decision of Roe v. The fall of Roe v. Wade, putting tighter restrictions on abortion services in their states, it's just like some of us don't even want to have sex at all. Whether it's with birth control or with God knows, which is going to be the next thing they probably come after. We're scared. A lot of people have also cited overwhelming student debt. I can't raise kids and I ain't got no money. And it's funny that a lot of us it was drilled in our head, go to college. That's going to give you the best life and the best opportunity and the most money. Well, then now we've got all this debt, so we can't give the best life and the best opportunities to our kids because we're still paying back the thing that y'all told us that we were supposed to do that's going to make our lives great again, quote unquote. So yeah, it's very interesting. The article also talks about the fact that the U.S. birth rate actually fell 4% in 2020, the largest single-year decrease in nearly 50 years. The government also noted a 1% uptick in U.S. births last year, but the number of babies born was still lower than before the coronavirus pandemic, about 86,000 fewer than in 2019. You know, at the end of the day, and I can just speak from my own experience, I enjoy my life without a person to be responsible for other than myself. There's something very rewarding about that. And this also is directly correlated to this idea and conversation that's been going on with the quote unquote internet gender wars, with people telling folks that you women are going to die single and alone. Statistics say that we actually are happier when we go that route. Getting married and having kids is very stressful. 2/3 of the amount of housework that includes taking care of the children is typically falling as on the responsibility or the plate of the woman in the relationship. And that's another reason why a lot of Gen Zers and millennials are not choosing to have children. Debt, not wanting the responsibility, not having trust in their government, not having trust that the environment that they can raise that they would potentially be raising their kids in is a safe one to raise them in. And also just a lot of, mental health advantages, just not having to deal with the stress of raising another human being, and in particular, raising a human being when a lot of us weren't raised. A lot of us are still growing up and becoming adults and becoming emotionally mature and psychologically sound. And some of us ain't never gonna make it there. So we definitely don't need no kids. So my question to you ladies is, do you have reasons not to have children? Do you still want to have children? And if you do, how do you think the world is going to look with potential, kids in your lives?
Nick?
Well, I don't have no kids. Do I still want children? Possibly. It's not something I want tomorrow. I definitely think that like children are very expensive. They cost a lot. It costs a lot of money. They cost a lot of time. They cost a lot of energy. It costs a lot of your patience, and they cost just costs a lot. And that's huh.
Rent is too damn high.
I mean, it's a price that I'm not ready to pay right now. And I think that is. I found that I know some people who responsibly have had kids, and I know some people who have irresponsibly had kids. And I know some people who responsibly had them and thought that they were ready, and then they realized it was a lot more than what they thought it was going to be. Having kids is a gamble either way, and you just never know what's going to happen. That partner you thought was real good might not be everything you thought they were. Your financial circumstances could change. Your familial circumstances could change. Your children might have needs that you didn't anticipate them having. And I'm just not really ready to roll the dice on any of that shit today, which is why I don't do it. I would think that it's more than likely that I may, at some point in my life, be a parent of some sort. But it's hard for me to say right now what that would be. But I definitely understand all those reasons, and I echo all of those reasons that the other millennials said that they don't want children. And if y'all want people to have kids, stop making our lives so fucking difficult and expensive and telling us to rack up all this debt, because that does deter us from wanting to procreate. Some of us with like good sense.
And it should. I mean, it should deter far more than it does. But unfortunately, I feel like the people who are deterred from making babies are the people who probably should be the people procreating. It's the dummies out here who ain't thinking about consequences, right? Who are just like procreating and more dumbasses. That's why all these kids. That's probably why I don't like them. They got dumbass parents, dumbass kids, dumbass grandparents. Just a whole tree of just stupidity. I'm just saying, for real. You can look at a kid and be like, "Oh, yeah, well for you." Do I want children? I'm in the same boat as Nick, possibly. I mean, I'm getting up there in age, so possibly.
We getting up there,
and I ain't trying to die for no baby. But yeah, life. I mean, the days of Leave It to Beaver are far gone. That is a bygone era in America. People were buying houses for like $4,000. Like literally $4,000. When my parents they moved, so my dad was in the military. When we moved to Las Vegas in 1997, they bought a house. It was a little under $200,000. When they moved in 2006, I believe they sold that house for a little bit under $500,000. What are we supposed to do with that? What are we supposed to do with that? Because I haven't seen the cost of living has gone up, but I have not seen wages match that, which is why we're in the situation that we're in now. Give us more money. Like, yeah, stop asking us to go into debt. Stop asking us to be irresponsible. I can barely afford myself, let alone a child. Yeah. And fuck that shit you were talking about, like the 60% falling on women. Oh, no. Whatever person, whoever I have a child with, absolutely not. We going 50-50. And it might be a little skewed on his side for the first couple of months because, 9 months of carrying a child and all that stuff. Yeah, I think I deserve a break. So, no.
Yeah. The other thing I want to say is stop telling women, and women stop believing that being single or childless is a death sentence. There is nothing wrong with being unpartnered and being a non-parent.
It actually extends your life expectancy.
Yeah, it's not a death sentence. It's not a negative thing. I think people gaslight women like, you're gonna be single and childless. Okay. Who said I wanted to be married or have children? Why do you assume that that's the goal for every woman? Like we're incapable of wanting anything outside of that. And miss me with the animalistic, natural thing. People are people. People are different. What y'all got to understand is that before women did that because they had no choice. That was their only means of survival, marriage and procreation with y'all dumbass granddaddies. That's all they could do. But now that women have choices, we actually have to want to do things or like you to be around you and do those things. And y'all struggling with that. So stop trying to gaslight women. Women don't fall prey to that. You figure out what it is that you want to do and how you want to do it. If you want to be a wife, mother, go do that. If you don't, that is not anything wrong with you. That's it.
And in fact, it probably would help some of these poor partners or potential partners out here to evolve. Because, I mean, let's keep it hundo shmundo. It's not just one race of men. Men, period, globally are having trouble with adapting to what is being identified as the modern woman or women that have choices and options. And on top of them not necessarily collectively being emotionally mature, a lot of them are falling behind financially. And I'm not trying to relegate men to only being important if they have the finances to sustain whatever lifestyle it is of the women that they're trying to pursue. But that is an important key part of it. If you can't pay for it, you shouldn't be able to play with it. Let's just keep it hundo shmundo. As parents, think about all the times that you have bought your kids some expensive ass gifts and they have fucked it up because they don't understand the worth and the value of it. So, ladies, again, like Auntie Nick was saying, take a moment and evaluate whether you actually want the stress of having children and whether your marriage is a happy and healthy one or not. You need to always have it in your mind. There's a possibility that you may end up being a single mother with or in or outside of your marriage. So if you can't handle the stress of taking care of everything yourself, you shouldn't have kids regardless.
Yeah. And I would like men and women, because this conversation usually falls on women, and I guess because I'm a woman, I kind of go there first, but men as well. Everybody need to be more selective
Mhm.
about their partners and who they procreate with. And men, it's nothing wrong with y'all being unmarried and not having kids either. That doesn't make you less than a man. I know a lot of men feel shamed by people because people do shame them if they get to a certain age and don't have children. They question their sexuality, they weaponize that, and all kind of stuff like that. Um, don't be gaslit either, man. It's okay, and please protect your lineage and your seed, and don't just give it out there and spread it far and wide like that, because there's no value in that either.
Mm.
Sorry, so um in that regard, that kind of takes us into our our next story. I guess Kirby informed me he was a UGA grad. I didn't know. Oh, actually, somebody else told us that this person was a UGA grad. There was a video that hit the internet when a little, I ain't gonna say it went viral. It went semi-viral. It made its rounds. And in it, a young man, I don't know if I'm gonna say his name, but I did find his name. Um, Talked about how he loves dating a certain age of women, 21 to 25-year-olds, young women. He used these words to describe them: malleable, cooperative, extremely cooperative, exciting, don't have many negative experiences, so they do truly give you grace. This is 33-year-old man saying that he loves dating 21 to 25-year-olds. He says with women his age, he felt that it's a competition. For an example that he gave, if he says to come sit down, a younger woman will come sit down, but an older woman may say, well, I don't want to sit down right now. With women his age, he says he feels he has to prove himself. But with young women, there's a certain level of respect they give without condition. Are y'all feeling him on this, y'all? Do he have a point? I do know that, Kirby, there was a certain physical attribute that you pointed out. Now, what I went to do is I went and I watched the full interview, the full not interview, the full podcast that they recorded that day, right? Because I wanted to get the context of this conversation, and I wanted to see was there anything else said, because especially because of that thing that you pointed out. And there was a point in this where he was the main one talking about men liking physical features in women and how they like their women to be in the gym. They want them to be pretty, feminine, look good, look a certain way, and all of that. And it became more ironic of what you pointed out, because if you are going to talk about physical appearance and attributes and what people want, then you yourself would more than likely should be top tier in all those physical things, correct?
So, I like to vacation a lot. I haven't done so much since the pandemic has started, but one of my favorite places to go is the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. Um, why do I love the Golden Gate Bridge so much? Because it's big, it's tall, and it's wide, similar to the gap in the side of this man's mouth. Um, there are two consecutive teeth that are missing. Now, am I making fun of the community of people? And there's plenty of Americans and British people. Shout out to y'all because y'all don't brush your teeth either. That just have teeth that are missing for various reasons, and all the mothers that have lost a tooth because of pregnancy or postpartum related things. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the people that don't brush their teeth, that don't floss, and get on Beyonce and Al Gore's internet with a mouth wide open, wrong and strong and wrong, because it goes both ways. To be saying these kinds of very misogynist, chauvinist, and predatory statements. And every time that you open your mouth, I can see your epiglottis through the gaps in your teeth. I'm very confused, not bemused, confused. I need you to maintain that same energy, as Auntie Nick said, with yourself. if you're going to require certain levels of what we like to sometimes call reciprocity, you have to have the same thing or the same energy. And it's very clear to me that you did, attend a place of higher learning that you didn't learn much at. UGA is a pretty decent university. Maybe you didn't get a chance to go to class. Maybe you were missing as many books as you are teeth. That's neither here nor there. To speak specifically to what he was talking about, essentially what you were communicating, sir, is that you like dating people who are immature and who do not have life experience so that you can manipulate them and implement predatory tactics towards them. It sounds like that you suffer from narcissistic behavior. I can't say personality disorder because I'm not a psychologist and I don't know how to use the DSM to diagnose people, but that's very narcissistic and manipulative of you. On top of that, you're just not really attractive enough. And I understand that this is not a good reason to be misogynistic or chauvinist or disrespectful, but we all know how the world works. Attractiveness levels, the same way we talk about when people make jokes that are not funny. If the joke is funny, even if it's offensive, people are probably still going to laugh. If you were a more attractive man, we still would drag you probably for what you said, but it may not be as succinct. We all know that people that are of average attractiveness get dragged way harder than people that are not of high attractiveness or considered conventionally beautiful. And if you stop talking crazy, you actually would be handsome. But you continue to talk crazy. And so that just makes people zero in on all of the flaws that you may have. A little birdie told us some other information about him, and I didn't need to be told this to know it. Oftentimes men that overly talk about the appearance of women negatively and the behavior of women negatively don't actually like women. And I mean that in all aspects. Romantically, platonically, or otherwise. So for those men that, have these issues with women, just hang out with your homeboys. If you don't like women, there's nothing wrong with it. Hang out with your homeboys. There's actually a concept called homo-romanticism, and it pertains to people who have better relationships, platonic or otherwise, with people of the same sex. And there's nothing wrong with that. And there's a very large population of men out here that are homo-romantic but heterosexual. You like to have sex with women, but you prefer relationships with men. And there's nothing wrong with that.
He like women. He just want them young.
If you only like women that you can control, you don't like women. And I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah, I mean, I think you said it all. Yeah, 33. I think you look like a fool going on the internet admitting that you're 33 years old and you're out here looking for a 21-year-old. That's disgusting. That's disgusting. Like, I'm 37 and I can't even see myself dating. I can't see myself dating a 33-year-old. Like, honestly, like, I have no interest in dating someone who's 4 years younger than me, 3 years younger than me. 2 is pushing it, but okay, we're getting closer, around 2 years. That's probably like the limit, like for me. Yeah, if you only want to date someone who you can control, why are you telling people to sit? Are you dating a dog or a woman? Why are you even telling somebody to sit? Yeah, if a man or anyone actually is like, hey Kaylee, sit, I'm gonna be like, why? Like, for what? Are you about to give me some bad news? Like, yeah. Are we about to have dinner? Like, what are you telling me to sit for? I don't just, no. You don't just command me. And so if you have a problem with that you cannot, that you have to command people, then whatever. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he's into the sadomasochism or whatever. But I'll say this: you don't have to be a predator. I mean, you just have to be an asshole, which I think he has that on lock. These 21-year-olds these days can run circles around some of these men. That's number one, because they got a different kind of education. 2, what you're looking for is someone who has low self-esteem. And you can find that in people of any age. You just have to know how to spot them out and target them, which people like that typically are very good at doing. So that's unfortunate.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's like a predatory behavior. I feel like when I was growing up, something my dad would teach me was always watching the way you carry yourself, because predators are looking for certain things. And they can spot the way you carry yourself, the way you're moving, the way you're that, okay, this person is a good target. Words mean things. Malleable, easily influenced or pliable. Able to be hammered or pressed permanently out of shape without breaking or cracking. Um, this is something that you're looking for, because that's what you want. You want somebody that you can move, manipulate, that's pliable, and that you can do it without any pushback. Um, Also in this interview, they gave I'm gonna stop calling it an interview. It's a podcast. They gave an example, and there was a woman that was there as a guest as well, and another male. They gave an example of if you're going to meet your man or whatever, out to dinner or something, and there's a valet, and the man says, "Oh, just park valet and bring me your ticket." And then you get there, and the valet line is really long, but there's like parking right there down the street. That's like even cheaper, and it's like right there. And you just say, "Okay, I'm just gonna go park over here, park, and come on in." They were saying like a woman who's older may do that and say, "Well, that makes more sense. I'll just go do that." And the young woman will say, "Well, I'll just wait in line and do what my man said." And they were saying that was better. And I'm like, so you want somebody stupid that don't have no critical thinking? Like, number one, um, we have the ability to critically think, like we can assess a situation and say, well, I did want a valet, but that parking's free right there. And it's like 10 steps further than the valet where I would get out for valet. And valet line is around the block. Let me just park right there and I'm good. But they were saying that would make them mad, like, oh, she don't listen. She don't follow directions and instructions. Secondly, depending on my relationship with somebody, I'm not handing you my fucking ticket. So you can try to hold my car hostage at the end of the day if I want to leave. And these are safety things that I think women have to think about and having things in our control. And I don't think that people fully realize that. Even the woman in that situation was like, yeah, I mean, I would be like, well, the parking's right there, but I'm gonna just do what my man said. See, that's y'all part of y'all problem. You following blindly behind any old body. Um, you want blind submission. You said there's no conditions. That's another word he used. They're gonna follow my lead, do what I say with no conditions. Well, that's just not smart. Why would I do something blindly with no condition? I'm just do what you say because you got a penis.
Y'all want women that's gonna fuck your money up. I don't know what that's about.
I just think that this was really silly. Like Kelly said, to be 35 years old, sitting up here on Beyonce Good Internet, talking like that, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. And anybody else who sits on there or on that platform and listens to that advice, and I'm not even gonna name the name of the podcast because I don't even want to give them any shine, or make anybody go there, but that was ridiculous. And I think because that podcast is aimed at giving men advice, makes it even worse because people are going to take what they say as gospel and as good advice, and it's really not. I find that women of a certain age and experience should have certain boundaries, conditions, and expectations. And I think that any man worth his salt is going to find that invigorating. He's going to find that refreshing. He's going to find that like as something attractive in a partner, because you know what? When you again, going back to the millennial shit, if you partner with somebody and you have procreate with them, you have to do so with the knowledge that you can get took out the game any minute. You could die the next day. You need to know that that person is able to handle themselves and take care of your children, and they're going to be able to move on and do what they need to do. And if the woman can't do that because she's so damn young and dumb and malleable, then you have chosen wrong. I guess you would have enjoyed yourself, but not the best partner. Anyway, that's how I felt on that. Any other thoughts, ladies?
No, I'm gonna let it's all I'm gonna say is this. Well, I say this all the time. A lot of the quote unquote gender wars and these weird conversations around how women should behave, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of it really is stuck to the silos and echo chambers of the internet. Luckily, I haven't had no man run up on me like that in real life. On internet dating websites, yes, but again, that's a whole other conversation. 62% of the population on dating websites are men, and specifically ones that do not know how to interact with women in real life. So that has its own set of issues. But gentlemen, please understand, if you're listening to this podcast or ever see a clip of this, we're not saying all the things that we say and talking about the stories that we talk about to dog y'all. It is to bring to the forefront that your homeboys, your friends in them is fucking up. And if y'all not going to check them or at least show that there is better behavior out there, you're all going to end up suffering behind it. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, to the point of the AP article that I read, a lot of folks are, especially women, and it doesn't matter what color she is, are starting to learn to mind their business and enjoy their life. So that's that on that.
All right, let's get into this last story, you guys. Throw it to you, Kirby.
Yeah, and we're not going to spend too much time on it because this story is still unfolding, but I had to bring it up because it took the internet by storm. If you haven't heard about it by now, if you don't know me by now, you've probably heard that Tiffany Haddish and Aries Spears have been hemmed up. Allegedly, they may have been a part of some sexual misconduct related situations with people that are underage. Like I said, this story is continuing to unfold. Apparently, a little bit of background. Apparently, some years ago, Aries Spears and Tiffany Haddish did 2 videos. One was supposed to be a PSA. Was supposed to be a PSA about child abuse or something of that nature. And long story short, it got out of hand. The 2 videos were very, very obscene. I will let you all go do your own research. And one of Tiffany's friends was the mother of the 2 of the children that were allegedly exploited. And so this has turned into a whole thing. I just want to say, I hope, even though first of all, there is video evidence, so we know that inappropriate things were done. And I hope that the people that were involved get the justice and whatever, emotional settling that they are seeking. But I just wanted to say this, y'all, there is nothing in this world that can replace your integrity and your character. If you are trying to be famous, if you're trying to get a particular job, if you're going to school, whatever it is, do not sacrifice your character or your integrity just to try to get ahead, because it will circle back around to bite you in some way or another. And we'll probably report more deeply on this in a later episode, maybe next season. Because this story is going to be going for a long time because there's court cases and everything. But I did want to mention that, we got to do better. So.
Kayla, you had anything?
No, I think Kirby covered it. Yeah. And I'm waiting to see how this unfolds. It's definitely a weird one.
Situation.
Yeah.
Like she said, we're gonna have plenty to see because this is about to go places.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is the menu, you guys. Very good commentary. Appreciate it all. We at the bottom of the show. Y'all know what that means. It's time to remind you of our book of the month. We are now in September with a brand new book. Kirby, what are we reading?
Yes. So those of you that got a chance to listen to the episode last week and got to hear some of Mr. Gerald Chambers' wonderful commentary around relationships and dynamics, know that he actually is the person that suggested our book of the month for September, which is all about love, New Visions, a book by the beloved, may she rest in peace, Bell Hooks. This book touches on everything from self-love to learning how to love one another through better communication. Quote, to truly love, we must mix various ingredients: care, affection, recognition, respect, commitment, and trust, as well as honest and open communication. And so you can get a copy of this book by the magnanimous Bell Hooks, All About Love, New Visions, from all of your different bookstores, Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, wherever you can get books. But that is what we are reading for the book of September, All About Love, New Visions by Bell Hooks.
All right. Sometimes you go get your food, take it home, you're ready to eat, you're excited, you take a bite, and your fries ain't even hot. You got to do a return. We like to call them let goes. Auntie Kaylee, she got something she ready to let go today.
Yeah. I'm ready to let go of this coronavirus. It's ridiculous. I finally got it after 2.5 years of protecting myself. So I want to let it go. It does suck. It feels like the flu. It hurts. I'm achy. Yeah. I'm not straight up not having a good time, guys. So
Yeah. She's still here for us though, y'all. She got the vid and everything and still showed up. Y'all look. She
Yes.
love us. She love y'all. Auntie got love for the kids.
I do. Some of them.
Some of them. She is
Period.
a trooper though, for real. Like she really wanted to be here and do this, and we appreciate that. We want to acknowledge that.
Couldn't let my ladies down.
Oh, she loves us so much.
I
Okay.
feel like glitter on the inside.
Oh my gosh, you know what I'm saying? Did you just flip your hair?
I did.
Let me see.
Mhm. Yeah.
I have a let go. I was gonna let go of one thing, but I'm gonna let go of something else because of what had happened.
Okay.
And I was like, I'll leave the other one for another time. I want to let go of people who don't know how to let go.
Ah!
Literally, yes, yes. When people tell you to leave them alone, leave them alone. Okay. You got to know how to let go. It doesn't matter how you feel about it. It don't matter how it affects you. It don't matter how much you love that person, how good that person made you feel, how many good memories y'all have, how many years y'all known each other, if y'all related, unrelated, if you had the same third grade teacher, if y'all live in the same neighborhood, drive the same car, work in the same office. If that person tells you to leave them alone, leave them alone. Sometimes you burn a bridge and you can't build it back and cross back over it. And that's not for you to determine. That is for that other person who already determined it. It don't matter if you feel that it was that serious or not. When somebody tell you to leave them alone, leave them alone. That doesn't mean go make new social media accounts so you can try and follow them. And if you do, don't be stupid enough to put your name in it so that they know who you are.
It sounds specific.
Oh, it's very specific. I wish I had that button for the shots fired.
Pew, 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 pew. I got you.
Yeah, that one. Because you know who you are, and it ain't right.
You get on my nerves.
Ain't intended. You ain't right. You need to get right. You need to act right. You need to make the right choice. You need to work, make the right decisions.
You need to
Because you are
learn
right off.
wrong.
Don't know the difference between right and wrong. Leave people alone. Long story, I'm gonna make it very short. When people to ask you to leave them alone, leave them alone.
Amen.
That's my let go. People that don't know how to let go. Sometimes you just gotta let go. All right. Sometimes we go to the function, we eat good, but we got some food left over. What we on the way? We want to wrap it up, put in some good old aluminum foil or to-go box, and that's what we have as our to-go box. Something we want you to take with you, eat on throughout the week, and enjoy it. Kirby, give the people something they can take with them.
Even though I'm going to make it short and sweet, this does take time and effort. Patience. Have patience with yourself, with others, with family, with friends, with jobs. Have patience. Now, what patience is not is people letting people try you. What patience is knowing that things that are good, things that are solid, things that have a foundation, things that need to be maintained require time and energy and love and effort. So my to-go box for this week for everybody is have patience. And if with no one else, have it with and for yourself. Be patient with yourself. It's a process.
I like that. Have patience. All right, we letting go of the pandemic. We are letting go of people who don't know how to let go, and we are having patience. But no patience for people who don't want to let go. So thank you all for joining us for another show. We appreciate it. Like we say, you could have been anywhere in the world, but you was here with us. Kirby, let the people know where they can connect with us.
As you all see on the ticker in the bottom, follow us at Extra Crispy Extra Wet on Instagram. Check us out every Wednesday at 8 p.m. on Instagram live for Extra Wet Wednesdays. Email us your comments, questions, concerns your emotional outbursts, or if you want to be on an episode, hello at extracrispyextrawet.com. And of course, follow the aunties. You see their names on the screen at Nick Spix, at Killer Kaylee, and many of the other aunties you can find in other episodes. Make sure y'all check out our YouTube if you're seeing it, watching it on YouTube. If you're listening on our weekly drop, go to the YouTube, get us some views. We definitely need your assistance, because eventually we're going to use YouTube Live. We appreciate you all. We love you all. And I'm going to hand it back over to Auntie Nick to close out. Give us a benediction.
All right, you guys, thank you so much. Get with us. Like Kirby said, hit us up, because we're going to be planning, and we are planning for our season 6 right now. We want to get you guys involved and get you on and get your ideas of things that you want to see us do as well. So please connect with us. Let us know. We like the good, the bad, and the ugly. We ain't gonna bite unless that's what you're into. Thank you guys. We will see you on Wednesday on Instagram. Around here, we don't say goodbye. We keep it straight Atlanta, and we tell them what?
All right.
All right,